everyone, and welcome to episode 27 of the Blues News podcast. Very special episode today. As you can see, I'm here with Pip, otherwise known as 𝗣𝗟𝗘𝗖𝗓, for a playoff special. So something a little bit different. Obviously, as Southend fans, in recent years, we haven't had too much of this, but we're in the final on Sunday, so we're here doing a playoff special. How are you, Pip?
Yeah, mate, I am good. I am off the back end of a cold right now, so I sound absolutely amazing. And you'll probably all be able to hear my croakiness and be well annoyed at it, but not as much as me, I promise you. But like Finn said, it's a playoff special, guys. When have we ever had a playoff special? Never. We're enjoying this today, and we're taking our time with this one.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, so I was just saying to Pip before we started, we're going to split up into pretty much three parts. So we're going to start off by talking, and I'll try and leave some timestamps or something, so you jump around wherever you want. But basically, we're going to start off by talking about the season as a whole. We might do a little episode recapping the whole season in the future, but we're going to do a little mini condensed recap, talk about some favourite moments, things like that to start with. Then we're going to talk about previous Wembley visits. So I was saying to Pip, I've got a little quiz for him to do with our Wembley visits. So put the 𝗘𝟮🳬𝗙𝗙 away. And then we'll wrap it up by talking about the playoffs, and we'll talk about obviously our journey so far and the final as well. So first things first, Pip, are you quite nervous for Sunday?
Mate, I don't think a term's been used more this week than something. When you really are nervous, there's an expression which a lot of the older people know, but it's something bricks, and I'm sure everyone can put the first word in there. And to put it politely, I've been beyond nervous. I think everyone as a Southend fan is, but there's one hand of nervousness, but then on the other hand is joy and happiness. And I'm sure we'll get into it with the season recap. But just to go to Wembley, just to have that day with this club, with all the fans, and it's just a special occasion. You don't get them that often. Some clubs don't even be to Wembley in like the last 20 years. It's happened a bit 3 times now. That's quite impressive, to say less. But this one, I feel, will be the most enjoyable, as I'm sure we'll get onto in a minute.
Absolutely. Well, I've been saying to my dad and stuff, like, to be honest, it's all felt like it's all falling into place for Southend this season. And it feels like it's our time. And obviously, you never know what's going to happen in this playoff game. Oldham have been turning over sides, so we're going to talk about it in a bit. But a great team, a great opposition. But it just feels like a bit of a fairy tale. You know, the fact we're in a final with another team that's such a big club, also deserving to be, well, I mean, both clubs should really be League One. I was saying to my dad, could you imagine if you kind of said to somebody that York, Southend and Oldham, Forest Green as well, but we'll say those three mainly, well, and this final, especially Southend and Oldham, if you said that 10 years ago or something, you'd be talking about a League One playoff final, really. So the fact that this is a non-league playoff final is mad. But to be honest, all I've wanted from these playoffs is just to get to Wembley. If we lose now and next season we have a great season, then so be it. But to get to Wembley, and we're going to talk about the ticketing situation in a bit, but to get to Wembley, it is really all that matters for me. And if we get promoted, a little bonus on the side. So we'll start off by talking, as I said, about the season as a whole then. So firstly, if we talk about expectations at the start of the season, I think we touched on it in our monthly reviews and stuff. But I think there are really big expectations at the start of the season from certain fans. Do you think that Southend have exceeded your expectations?
Yeah, more than so. I think, if anything, they've overdone themselves, because I think you're right. At the beginning of the season, there was a lot of, new consortium taking over, must be bags of money in there, buy the league out and we'll be top of the league. And I think we were hit with a harsh reality. In all honesty, I think I fell into that pool a little bit of thinking, we're going to cruise this league and it's going to be amazing content and it's all going to fly out. And then realization hit. We just had Ron Martin in charge, and he's left X amount of debt, a stadium in disarray, a training ground that's, dare I say, not even a third complete. Just so much wasn't done. So I think as the season gradually moved on, we got to November, December, I think I personally accepted mid-table. I thought, okay, anywhere from, let's say, 8th to 11th, maybe. I'd take that for this season, as long as we're preparing for the following season. But to say on the last day, we all went up the Gateshead and we got into those playoffs, boy, am I going to take that every day of the week. Because, wow, what a season it has been on the whole. Kev has had injuries to deal with, red cards for him personally, especially that one against Yeovil, which I'm sure we'll never forget with that horrid referee. We won't detail on her, but no, it has been a massive achievement to get into these playoffs, I must say. And it is credit to Kev, Darren, and Mark for just coming in every and getting these players to perform so well. Like when Macaulay Bomb first came in, I think 90% of the fan base wanted him gone within a week just because of how he looked, how he was performing. And now look, everyone wants him to start. Just players like that. And that is down to the management trio and the staff just feeding into these players. But on the whole, this season, it's been bonkers for so many different reasons. But I'm so happy we're having our day out.
Absolutely. And you're right about the expectations at the start being so high, and then it was a bit of a reality check, I think, a few months in, and it was like, actually, we have got the consortium and they're brilliant, but they're, the legacy of Ron Martin has left so much debt and so many issues just with the club that I think for the first few months of the season it was really about rebuilding. Obviously we've got the scoreboard in and little things like that, go a long way. But yeah, I agree with you. I think we have exceeded expectations. Again, we keep doing it, but I think we've just gone that little step further. And so something funny about this playoff final is I believe it's the first time that a team in 7th and 5th have actually been in the final. So one of us is going to be the first team to be in it and win it, which is quite mad. So I think both of us would take this at the end of the season, being in the final. So with the season as a whole, then what home and away games, you can do a home and away game if you want, stand out to you then? Because I know one away game that stands out to me, but maybe we'll leave that for the playoffs, playoff games. But if, any before the playoffs that stand out to you?
Yeah, now you mentioned. Okay, so we're not going to include playoffs. I think an away game was Eastleigh, just for that atmosphere. I think it was us versus Eastleigh, and Eastleigh were 1 or 2 points behind us. We're in 8th, they're in 9th. Big occasion. We score within a minute. Bang, eruption. And the whole game, the fans were behind the team, and the team performed amazingly. So everyone was loud and supportive, and it was amazing. So Eastleigh, a big standout for me. Obviously, we can't mention the playoffs. They would definitely be the top 2, but I would take Eastleigh. And Eastleigh's a lovely local one for me. So I got home and got a video up within an hour. So it was amazing. In terms of home, then, wow, that's a biggie, because there's been a few decent home ones. There's been a few ones we don't want to talk about, like Sutton earlier in the season. I think when Yeovil came to us, it was a draw. We don't want to talk about those. But if I'm right, I might have my seasons wrong. We played York first game of the season.
Yep.
That is my standout game for home, just because the first game of the consortium, you walked into Roots Hall and there was no pressure. It was, everyone was smiling. Everyone was happy. We had Roots Hall, which hadn't had a new scoreboard at that point. No, it did have a new scoreboard, but it didn't have any of the other new functions in. It was our little ground, which was falling apart, but us fans turned up in numbers to welcome York, team favourite to go up, and we drew 1-1. And it was just a day to remember, this is the turning point for us as a club. And it really started off that season, this season, as that, it's a new ownership, new cloud, new slate. Let's just see what happens. So, no, I'd say York definitely for home, Eastleigh for away.
Absolutely. And it's funny because, and also in that game, you had the TIFO and stuff. We're going to talk about the TIFO itself and hopefully putting together later. But it's funny that you picked a game where we didn't win, because I'm also tempted to. So I would like to. I don't believe you're at this game, but the Wealdstone 3-0 win, obviously a great game late on. I know what happened there. Not good for you personally.
No, that was a good one. Go watch Mia's video. It's better.
Yeah, absolutely. But there is a game that stands out to me that, in fact, we actually lost, which is mad for me to. I don't know if this would be my game of the season, but it's definitely up there. The Charlton Cup game. Where we lost 3-4. And we lost, but I think to see that size of an away end, I think they were pretty quiet if I remember. But see
You've
that
said trouble now.
yeah, I hope no Charlton fans watch this, but the size, see that away end completely full like that. The atmosphere from the Southend fans, it felt like a real EFL kind of tie. And to be honest, we're so unlucky as well, conceding so late on, and it's such a high scoring game. To be honest, it's just one of my favourite games. And I remember coming away from it not feeling disappointed, just feeling proud of how well we had fought. I think that was back when I still did player ratings, and I think I gave everyone a 10 because I was just so happy after that game. But that definitely stands out to me as a home game. I think away game, you summed up there with Eastleigh. The atmosphere was mad. I think 𝗘𝟮𝗅 said that he could hear the fans still at half time in the changing rooms. So it says something about how good our support was that day. And I think that was the real moment where it felt like we could do something. And I know there were a few setbacks after that, but that was the moment for me where it felt we could really do something there. But another one, Solihull away. Were you at Solihull away?
No, my old man was getting married. So no, I really missed the high-scoring games, and it's so annoying. The only high score I've got is Ebbsfleet away at 4-0. All the rest, I think every other game I've seen has been 2 or less for Southend. It's just like, come on, I want a high score. And everyone's like, oh, did you see Solly or did you see Wilson? No, I didn't.
I think the Ebbsfleet games as well, you could probably mention it as being both games, really. But to be honest, I think the second one, I kind of just felt a bit bad for them, really. Because they were so bad that I almost like didn't want to celebrate too much because like
feel bad.
10, they were that bad. But so I mentioned it there with the Eastleigh game, feeling like a moment where it felt like we could really do something here. Was there a moment in the season for you where it really felt like this could be our chance to do something? Do you remember one game in particular? Maybe the Eastleigh game? Or
Oh, that's tricky because it's like we said, Southend is always a roller coaster ride in the season. You never know if you're going up. We never do it easy. You never know if you're going up. You never know if you're going down. You stay in there. So to pick one, I think Ebbsfleet's a good one to mention again, just because obviously a big away win. I think that set up nicely. Oldham in the league before we get to that, we'll get onto that in a bit. But that was a turning point. We had Rochdale in March as well. I think that kind of Marchy period, I'm going to say, when we had Oldham, Rochdale, some of the big boys come into Roots Hall, and we held our own. And you just thought, we're climbing this steadily here. There's surely no chance we can do it. And then I think the real expectation, like you said, I wasn't there, bugger, was Wealdstone at home when we won 3-0. And you just go into Gateshead thinking, we're going to do this. Gateshead on a bad spin. We're on a good spin. We're going to pack out that away end. The boys are going to see that. They're going to perform on the pitch. And, okay, it was a bit iffy at times, but we made it. So honestly, I think it was that final kind of month and a half of the season when you really need wins at that point. That's the end point of the season. You need to start picking up your results, whether you're going up, you're going down, or you're in the middle. If you want to get somewhere, that's the time I feel you need to put all your energy and your gas into it. And Blues did. They did it superbly. And lo and behold, we did it. We did it. We're going to the motherhood of all bloody stadiums on Sunday.
Oh, I know. It feels weird to even say that. It's so exciting, quite nervous. But I'm more excited than nervous, if I'm completely honest. I just can't wait. Can't wait for the occasion. Can't wait for the day. I've never been to Wembley with Southend. I don't know. Did you go to the?
Yes, I did Wickham. Yes, and I was. I think it was about 14, 15. It was 10 years. So we were about 15, and. Yeah, I remember that game, but I don't remember all of it. I remember the Pickett goal especially, just when he did that half turn. You slowly see that ball crawling in. It's like, that's going in. That's going in. Holy, that's going in. And no, that was really. I remember for the penalty shootout, I couldn't look. I looked behind me and looked at like the big screen that was behind me, just like I can't watch that. And then Dan Bentley just performs miracles. And that was if somehow that was to be replicated this Sunday, wow, that would be special. But one step at a time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to talk about that in a moment. Obviously, the previous Wembley visits. I've got a quiz, so maybe keep thinking about that in your head. But I think with the season, it was so up and down because there's so many. I don't think I've known a season to have so many bad moments, really. Like, I think Solihull, the Braintree game where we drew 0-0, that really felt like a real kick in the teeth. you follow that with another loss versus Solihull. I can't remember if there's a game in between, but I think they were, as I remember, I think they were just after each other. And there's literally that Solihull loss, losing that game in the way that we did, 1-0, not scoring a goal. It just felt like that's it. That, and I think I said to my dad, I didn't say it all season really, because I don't like to fall into that trap of going, that's it. Because never know with Southend. But I think after the Solihull game, for me, I just went, that's it. We're not going to get playoffs now. I think after that game, we're about 4 or 5 points off. It was a reasonable margin, and it didn't feel really like we were going to do it. But as we said in the monthly reviews, we said the Gateshead were the team to catch. They were on a bad run of form, and we did call it. We said they were the team to catch, and we caught them. So, definitely good moments. But so across the season, then, do you have any favourite funny moments or little memories that stand out to you? Because I have one, if you want me to start, which is quite niche, so I can't imagine it be the same as yours, unless you're standing next to me, of course. But it was actually at the Braintree away game, and I don't know if anyone else will remember this. If you do, please leave in the comments below. But we were standing there, and I don't know if you've ever seen this thing where if a step is a few centimetres or 1 centimetre off, everybody will fall over on it. It was like a little experiment. And there was this step at Braintree, and literally, I think we counted about 50 people who fell over on this step at Braintree away. If any fans, not just Southend, any fans who are watching this, and know that step at Braintree that trips everyone up, leave that below, because it was brilliant. And some people were going flying, drinks were going everywhere. It was carnage. And we weren't really the best of games. We won 1-0, but we weren't really the best of games. So it definitely livened up the day. But have you got any stories from the season?
I've got one that's quite recent then. Yeah, so it's at Rochdale. So big playoff game, eliminate a round, 2 teams, pretty even going into it. 10-minute game starts, 10 minutes in, it's a bit back and forth here and there. Ball goes out of play, and what happens? The sprinkler comes on. In a eliminator match, just randomly, the sprinkler comes on. Like, I don't know who functioned that, who pressed the button. So let's put the sprinkler on right about now. But that was just such a schoolboy moment for them. And then for our fans who were saying you're getting sacked in the morning, just topped it off so well. I don't know if anything did happen or if it was just a malfunction. But to say in a playoff eliminator of such huge scales that we're just going to turn on the sprinkler system. That for me was just a standout, just to go, do you know what? We really should do these. Like, if they're turning on the sprinklers after 10 minutes, come on, let's just do them. And then we'll get on to the manner of that game, I'm sure. But that is a standout for me, for most recent times especially.
You know what? I actually forgot completely about that, but that was brilliant. Part of me wondered if maybe it was a bit of tactics or something. It didn't work, but maybe it was a bit of tactics that will slow the game down early on. Just put us off a little bit. But
just wait till we get to the Forest Green game about sprinklers. Oh mate, that one was brilliant.
Yes. We will definitely talk about that, and also I believe that they use recycled urine. So if you got squirted by that sprinkler, then maybe look away from the podcast for a moment.
Oh my god.
I think it's only I think it's only right with the podcast talking about the season to hand out a few awards. So I'm going to hand out a few awards just briefly before we talk about previous Wembley visits then. So I think maybe a fun way to do this might be saying that whoever won in real life in the actual awards event, you can't say, because otherwise we'd just be saying Gus, just like the real one. I think maybe if we just say whoever won it in real life, some of these weren't actually awards in this ceremony. I think I've got about 6 awards here. So if we start with player of the season, then assuming that you can't go with Gus, who of course won it in real life. God, who is your player of the season then, except from Gus?
Oh wow! Okay, I believe he finished second. I think he did. So this might be a bit of a cop answer, but I truly believe this season he's been a standout. I love to refer to him as the bulldog of the team, the one who doesn't mind challenging, leaving a footing, giving an earful. He's had the captain's armband a handful of times this season, and it's Harry Taylor. Because you cannot underestimate that bloke. He came in the season before last in midfield. I think he got a bit of slack, well, not a bit of slack, a bit of stick, against him, just coming in, didn't look comfortable. And then start of last season, he goes into centre-back for his first game and he's never looked out of place since then. He reminds me of John Terry, just a guy who's going to leave a hard challenge in there. He's going to win the ball. He's a leader. And he deserves, and all those times he had the captaincy, he honestly maybe even deserved the first one. Yes, okay, Gus. That is 17, 18, 19, however many goals for a right wing back season. Yes, okay, you can have that. But Harry Taylor, really, I think, was my number one, in all honesty.
Yeah, I've got to agree, really. But I think with these, just to spice up a little bit, I'll try and go a bit different to you. So I think James Morton got third in real life. And I can completely get why I get third. I think for me, and maybe a because he won Young Player of the Season. I am going to go with Keenan. And anybody who watches the podcast or follows me on Instagram will know me and Pip were advocating for quite a while for him to play. And I think him coming in, and you could even really make a case for Leon. But I think we're going to see the best of him next season. I think he hasn't had too much time really with the club, but even in a short amount of time, it's been brilliantly. But I think you've got to go with Keenan for me, just because, well, I have a bit of a soft spot for him because he was on the podcast, but also because, he just had such an impact. And I think, a lot of our issues this season came from a lack of attacking nature of our football, not being quite as direct enough, not really running at teams, not testing them enough. And I think if you take Keenan out of that team now, I'm not saying it's a one-man show, but if you take him out, I think you lose a lot of that attacking and direct nature. And I think Leon works really well off the bench. I would personally start him, but I think in credit to Kev, I think he does work really well off the bench, whereas Keenan straight away from the minute go is on everyone. So he would have my player of the season. So move on to young player of the season then. If we take away Keenan, might be a little bit more difficult, but who is your young player of the season?
See, because that's tricky. That is quite tricky because we've got a lot of young players. Prior to Kev coming in, we had none. So this category, I don't think ever existed prior to Kev coming into the club. But you've got people in there like Colin, George Wynn, Leon, Keenan.
Yep.
So if I had to put hand on heart and say who I think should have got it, and it can't be Keenan, I'd have to choose Leon just for the impact he's had coming in January. He has to settle into full-time football, into the way that we play as a club, into the motto of the club. And he's done that so well. Got his goal, his first goal in the playoffs as well. That's when you need players to stand out from the crowd. And Leon, he's just that player that stands out. Like you said, coming off the bench, he works superbly. Just get him in, tired legs, last 20 minutes. He rips teams apart. He did it versus Rochdale so well, came on, spun so many of their midfielders. I wanted to put so many of those clips in that video, but I couldn't due to time and all that. But honestly, he's special. He's one of a kind. And like I said, next season, I'm sure, whatever league we're in, he will rip us apart. Leon is my young player of the year.
Absolutely. I think one player, and I'm not saying he's young player of the season because he's barely played all season and he's been loaned out for a lot of it. But one player I did want to talk about quickly is Jack Wood. And because I think Chris Phillips put out a tweet recently saying that he was training really hard, despite the fact it's unlikely he'll get a new contract. But I just want to talk about that a little bit and about the topic of Jack Wood, because I think it's a difficult topic, really, with the club. But what was you? Because I know he's been kind of out of favour. He's been loaned out. I think he did quite well with Tunbridge. I seem to remember. But what would you do with Jack Wood personally? Where do you kind of stand on that situation?
I think it's tricky, especially for Jack, because as a footballer, you want to play games and all that. And obviously, going into back in the season in December or January, we weren't scoring many. I think our strikers at that point, besides Bim, had scored about 5 goals all season. So then we bring in Kendall, Bond's starting to get up to speed, Walker's back from injury. So then you look at like Jack Wood and Danny Waldron and you go, right, what do we do with you? So Danny goes out on loan to Tamworth, and I think that was good for him being close to home, obviously coming from the Birmingham area. And Jack was difficult because I believe he went to Torquay first, and that didn't really hit the ground running. So he came back, and then it's like, right, I don't know, maybe if Kev or someone said to him, right, we'll send you on loan again, but this is your time to prove to us why you should stay for next season, because we have to be looking up, I say, up the ladder as such. And Jack, on his day, can be a great player. I believe him coming in off the wing to support a striker works superbly. And we did that sometimes this season. We've had like a 3-4-3 kind of formation, and Jack would have suited that right wing well perfectly in my book.
Yeah.
But I just don't think for him it's going to be a long-term thing with Southend. And I don't think he really got a proper chance to shine in his natural position. So I do feel a bit hard done by for him. But I think maybe it's a time to say, right, I'm going to move on from Southend, go to maybe Tonbridge on full-time on a contract, rip it apart, have a great season, and then maybe look at going back up. Because it does work for some players just to say, you know what, I'll take a step down a league, get my confidence back and go again. But honestly, Jack Wood is tricky. It's really tricky.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what Leon did, really, because he was at Oxford. I think he was at Forest Green, somewhere like that. And then all the way down to Slough. And then obviously he's made his way back up to sign for Southend, who could be a League Two team this time next week, which is quite mad to think about, really. But I think the Jack Wood topic is tricky, and it's probably quite tricky with the Danny Waldron one as well. But I think it's more tricky with Jack Wood considering his age and everything. I think ability-wise, he really does have the ability to compete and play at this level and be a good player for us. We don't see what goes on behind the scenes. I don't doubt that Kev knows more than us about this kind of thing. But for me, I just think he is, from what I've seen, I think he's good enough. He might have some kind of raw elements to his game, but I'm not comparing him to Leon. But I'm saying Leon does have some raw elements to his game. His end product isn't quite there at the moment, I don't think, with scoring goals and he's getting a few assists. But I think Jack Wood is a weird topic, and I would be interested to hear what people have to say in the comments below. Me and Pip Diversity have been saying recently about doing a live stream. I think it was your idea about doing these as live streams. I said, who on earth is going to tune in to a live stream on my account? But if there's enough people who want it, feel free to leave below, because then we can get fans in, get them engaged. What's your thoughts on this sort of thing? But I think the topic of Jack Wood is definitely a tricky one. But I think you're right. I think his time is kind of up now with the club. I just think, whilst he is a great player, if things have unfolded differently, I think maybe he could have been a starting player. But I don't think for him to come back and test in the team now would be quite tricky, I think. So move on to the next one then. Goal of the season. I think in real life, Gus versus Woking, I think was the goal.
Yeah.
And that's what I voted for, in fairness. But does any other goal stick out to you? It doesn't even have to be nominated for that one if you don't want it to be.
Oh, wow. That's quite a good one to say right now. So no, the Woking one, that was when Gus kind of nipped round the fullback and smacked it in the roof of the net. That was a really good one. In terms of other goals, though, wow, that's tricky. I think you could make. Yeah, you start. I think I need a minute because dare I say we've not scored many, but then when you think, oh God, we have scored quite a few now, haven't we?
Yeah.
So, okay, you go, and give me a minute.
One that sticks out to me is probably the Gus goal versus Tamworth away. Such a good finish. But that was a
good shout, yeah.
Obviously, the end of season awards were before the end of our season, really. Our season's still ongoing. So I would actually make a case for Bridge's goal against Forest Green, maybe because of what it meant that goal and taking us to penalties. Maybe because of the fact how hard I celebrated that goal. But I think, if you look at the technique of it, it was a really, really good goal. And, Craig Goodliff, a centre-back, is running down the wing, cuts it back in, and then Bridge, the technique to not overhit that when he's running forward at pace and it's pulled back towards him. He just keeps it low, perfect placement. I would be between those two, but to be honest, maybe because of how much it means, I'm going to go with Bridge versus Forest Green.
Oh, okay, right. I'm going to stay away from the playoffs because obviously, you've had that. You can have that one, but okay. I'm going to choose this one because I don't think I've celebrated a goal harder this season. So I'll paint you a picture. It's Dagenham and Redbridge away.
Yeah.
Macaulay Bourne has scored his first goal, but it's offside. The crowd has gone nuts, but it's offside. 5 minutes later, what happens? Macaulay Bond scores his first goal, and I don't think I have celebrated a goal harder this season just because he deserved it, in honesty. And I think for him especially, that was his real kickstart. He was saying for weeks, he just needs that one goal, one goal, and he'll go. And look, he got that goal. And ever since then, dare I say, I think we've all said we want him in our starting 11s just because of what he brings to the team. It might not be 30-plus goals like Ollie Pearce does in a season, but just his work rate, his ethics behind trying to make stuff happen. And we saw in the playoffs, I think, dare I say, he got 3 assists across the Rochdale and Forest Green games. Dare I say that? Might be wrong, but I believe it is right. That goal, especially at that, I don't think, when I look around at a crowd and see a goal, I don't think I've seen like hundreds of people celebrate that hard. It was special. It was a moment, and it set him up for greatness. For me, Macaulay Bonne.
Yeah, I can't argue with that, and I think that's the beauty of that question, goal of the season, because you know, I think when you vote officially for, in the club's one, you can interpret that as what was technically the best goal. But I think when we talk about here, you know, that Bournemouth against Dagenham Redbridge maybe weren't technically the best goal, and Bridges to a certain extent weren't the greatest goal I've ever seen, but they were, you know, they meant so much, and you know, I think that's why you can interpret it in different ways, which I think is good. So we've got 2 more awards, then we're going to get into the previous Wembley visits then. So these 2 actually weren't in the official award ceremony. They're just 2 that I thought of. So we've got, firstly, who is your most underrated player of the season? So I have got a player in mind. So if you need a bit of time to think, I don't mind.
I'm good. And I think I'm going to pinch yours here. Mr. 𝗘𝟮🳬𝗢𝗙. Yep, he is my man. Because honestly, the way this season began, and he was on the bench, and then he got his first real chance in January versus Sittingbourne, and he did amazingly. And from then, he just took off. And I think, like with Macca, we all say every week we want him in our starting 11s. He is a little terrier in midfield you love. He nicks the ball. He's pocketed so many big opposition forwards, like Effiong, for example, there. The Braintree one, John Akinde, pocketed him for the game. Just, he's so good. And I think earlier this season, we wouldn't have said Keenan will be tearing our midfield apart and tearing others especially apart. So for me, Keenan all day long.
Yep. Well, you're going to be surprised here. I actually wasn't going to say Keenan. Which I know that's a shock. But I actually have one more name in mind. Well, I have a few. So I think George Wind is maybe in the shout. I think he's a bit unlucky. With Gus being so good. But I think, to be honest, if we didn't have Gus, he'd genuinely be one of our better players. And I really think he'd be one of our most quality players, and I think it's just a bit unlucky that Gus has been so amazing. It'd be good if we could fit him into that team in some other way, or maybe a little bit more. But no, I think he has been quite unlucky with how well Gus has played. But my most underrated player this season is Joe Gubbins. And that's going to be a little bit of a shock to some people, but maybe that's why he is the most underrated player of the season for me. And I think if you just look at how he plays, I really rate him as a player. And I think, was it the Rochdale game or Forest Green game? I can't remember which one it was, where we're chasing a goal desperately. I think it might have been Forest Green, chasing a goal desperately, and we bring him on. And I can see exactly why you would make that sub. And I think he might have even took off somebody who wasn't a defender. So it felt like we were bringing on a defender. Or I remember it was a bit of why are we doing this change? But I completely get it. And it's not necessarily entirely because of his defending attributes. The way he can play from out the back and launch it forward, he's crossing, he's passing.
Yeah, I will rate that.
He's very comfortable in the ball. And I think if you look this season, he's had to play at left back a lot, which isn't his position. And he's done a fine job. And I really think that, I think that maybe next year or maybe the year after, providing he's still here, I think genuinely he could prove to be, come out of nowhere as one of our starting centre backs and really prove to be a strong player for us. So yeah, I think he's my most rated player.
I do rate that. That is a good pick. That is a really good pick.
The next one, I don't actually have a player in mind for, so I'm gonna have to just think it on the spot like you for this one. But I thought I'd chuck it in. So, who is your most improved player of the season?
Oh, wow.
Difficult one.
My most improved. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. So I think you could say a handful of players. You could say Macca, obviously, for how he's transformed his season. Gus compared to last season. Need I say any more on that? I think Hayes, from when he was in on loan to coming in now, has been big. If I had oh wow, the most improved. That's quite like a whole thing.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Do you know what? I'll say this then, because you mentioned him a minute ago. Just because he's only had a few appearances, but when he's come in, he's done a job, and it's George Wind.
Yeah.
Coming in from 𝗣𝗟𝗔𝗬𝗢𝗙, a lot like similar to other players coming in, a lot of hype in the club. You've got to perform to this level. And when Gus was either suspended or injured, I believe it was at Rochdale in the league earlier in the season. It was live on the telly at 5:30 kickoff. He got man of the match because he did everything right. And you just think when he comes on, you're in comfortable hands. Right, he's going to do a solid defensive job. He might get a good cross in. He likes to go down the wing. But for me, he's not had many opportunities, like we said. But when he has, he's improved game by game. So for me, Georgie Wind.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great shout, really. I think because you really took the three that I had sort of in my mind out of my mouth. Macaulay Bonne, I mean, to look past him would be so hard because, when he came in, I think a lot of it was fitness. He said himself he was not fit at all. If we're completely honest, he looked quite shocking at times. How many open goals and poor performances. It was worrying, but I think the thing that was always there was personality and character, and you could tell he really wanted it. And there's players come and go in football, and some are terrible, and some are terrible and you love them, but some are terrible and you just don't really care, and they go. But I think the reason he stayed and keeps working hard is because you can see how determined he was to get that goal. And you said previously about the Dagenham goal, how much that meant to him. And when he came in, from going from that to now really being one of my favourite strikers that we have, and a key asset of the club, I think. It's mad the progression he's made. You said there about Gus. I think he make a shout for Harry Taylor, switch to centre back. I know he did that last season, but really coming into his own this season and being you voted for him as player of the season, just behind Gus. I probably would have agreed. But I think one player that I would say
I've thought of one as well. I think you've been saying
most improved. I think so. He plays in central midfield. And I'm going to say James Morton. I think if you look at when he first joined the club to now, I think it's a completely different player. I know he hasn't played in a little while, but I just don't stick him on corners. With all due respect, I personally prefer Cav and Bridge on corners. But
Cav's corners.
Yes, who would have known? Who would have known he'd be so good on corners? But if you keep him off corners, I think James Morton 100% for me most improved. So if we move on to part 2, which would be previous Wembley visits. So we're going to talk about obviously the games in 2013 and 2015, the last 2 Wembley visits that Southend have had. So you said about watching them. So we're going to test your knowledge and those at home. If you want to get involved at home, feel free to leave your answers below. I've made this myself, so hopefully the questions are good or challenging. I have no idea really, but it took me a little while to put together. So fingers crossed it's all right. So we'll start off with question 1 then. So in 2004, Southend played in the Football League Trophy versus Blackpool. In 2005, we played Wrexham in the Football League Trophy again. Both games should have been played at Wembley, but due to the new Wembley being built at this time, which stadium were they actually played at?
Oh, okay, right. I can answer that one. Okay, the Millennium Stadium.
Nice.
That one I do know.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good. We got one.
We started off well. If you do a clean sweep on these, that would be amazing. So here we go. So another nice and easy one, actually. Some are quite tricky, but not nice and easy one, hopefully. Which 2 sides have Southend United faced in our 2 Wembley visits?
I was at both. So the first one was 𝗘𝟮🳬𝗢𝗙, and the second one, Crewe obviously not as great, but the second one, Wycombe.
Yeah. Perfect. There you go. So 2 out of 2.
We're on fire.
Here we go. So number 3, Dan Bentley was Southend's keeper in the 2015 final. Who was our keeper in the 2013 final?
My lord.
Maybe a bit trickier.
I've got a name, but I don't know if I don't know if he was the bench keeper. I'm gonna go with it because I remember. Was it Paul Smith?
It was. Oh my god.
3 for
3 out of
3.
3. That was a tricky one. I didn't know if you'd get that one. 3 out of 3. Very
Oh,
nice.
I'm actually so stoked I got that. Wow. Okay,
Nice.
right. Clean sweep.
I don't know if this is really have a 50-50 shot on this, unless you know it. You might know it. But which game had a higher attendance? Was it the 2013 final or the 2015 final?
Oh wow. That's tricky, that is, because obviously 2015 you've got the first time being at Wembley and then the playoffs. Just to go against the actual. Oh, hello, you come to join. Oh, you can help me, mate. Come here, you can help. Let's say 2015
Oh, he's brought bad luck because it was the 2013 final.
No,
it was the 2013 final, which I thought might be a little bit of a trick because
you're off. Fine. You're out of it now. Yeah, you're off. Fine. You never come back. Just go.
Maybe you should let him ask the first one. Well, these were quite a while before he's born.
He's just opened the door. He's had enough of me. Yeah.
Oh no, we've upset him.
He's come back. This episode's just got a load better.
This episode has got much better. What a lovely little experience.
You can just stay there. He's just like,
amazing.
Anyway, we got it wrong. No.
Yeah. So you're 3 out of 4, I think now. That was a tricky one. I'll give you the attendances. So 2013 was 43,842, which was 5,000 roughly more than 2015, which was 38,252. But I thought that was a bit of a trick because you'd think a playoffs would be a bit more than a trophy, but it's a bit of a tricky one. I guess maybe at the time, 2015 one was a League Two playoff final, so maybe still less than a league trophy. But I don't know. I would have also guessed 2015, 100%. That's why I chucked in there, maybe tricked you a little bit. But
well, you succeeded.
This is an interesting one. So, question 5: of the 2 Wembley games and the 2 Millennium Stadium games, so of the 4, how many of those did Southend actually wear our home colours of blue and white?
Oh my lord! Okay, definitely not Wickham. Crew, yes, we did wear blue. I remember that. The Millennium ones are tricky because I was only like 4 at that point. So 2 Millennium, 1 versus Blackpool, 1 versus Wrexham. So to me, Wrexham would be in red, so blue would make sense. And Blackpool, I don't know, would they have been in black so we couldn't play in blue? Someone behind this camera or watching this is screaming at me the right answer, but I'm going to say 2 times.
You are spot on. 2 times. Very nice. Is that 4 out of 5 now? I think it is.
Yeah, we're good. We're still in with this.
You're doing very well. Yeah, doing very well. If you get 9 out of 10, that would be very impressive.
Mate, come
on. So the 2 were Wrexham 2005 and Crew 2013.
Yes.
So,
logic prevailed.
Spot on. So in Blackpool 2004 game, I think they wore orange, which is weird why we didn't wear blue. But we actually wore a grey kit, which was a bit bizarre. But we wore a grey kit. There might be a reason for that. If somebody knows the reason, please leave below. But obviously it was 2 years before I was born, so I'm not too sure about that one. But and then obviously the Wickham one was yellow in 2015. So if we move on to 6 then. Very nice and easy one. Very, very, very nice and easy one. I think you even said it earlier, but who scored Southend's equaliser in the game versus Wickham?
Oh, yes. Mr. Feed the Pig and he will score, Joe Pigott.
Absolutely, Joe Pigott. So that's 5 out of 6 now, I believe.
Yep, we're
doing
good.
Well, doing very well. So, oh, God, this is a tricky one. Oh, no. This is very mean including this, but you have a chance because it's not a ridiculous... It's not ridiculous. So that's your little clue. But what minute in the game? So Joe Pigott was, of course, the goal scorer. What minute in the game was he subbed in on? So I won't ask the exact minute. Don't worry. I will give you 5 either side. So you've got a range of 10 to go for.
Oh, that's tricky. So we finished 0-0. We went out. Did he come on and added like extra time? Oh, I've got that Wembley video playing in my head now. Like when he comes on, like and you see Phil Brown going, he's got to make them believe. It's just like, 5 minutes up. Do you know? Oh, it's Phil Brown though. He loved to make a late like change. Okay, I think I'll kick myself if I don't say this, and I'll go within 5 of 94.
Yeah, you're off. I'm afraid it is the
No.
59th minute. Which, if anybody got that, that's pretty mad. But I would agree.
Phil Brown making a sub on 60 minutes. What?
Yeah, that's why I included it. I couldn't. Yeah, it's quite mad. I just looked at it. I was like,
oh my lord!
I had to include that one. If anybody got that, that's amazing. But
half an hour out.
6 out of 8. 6 out of, no, is it 5 out of 7 now? I believe.
Yeah, I'm 2 down. Yeah, I'm 2 down.
Yeah. So if we go to 8, then. So this one, I'll be quite lenient with, but if you just give a description of it. So how did Wycombe take the lead in the 2015 final?
Oh, yeah, I can't remember that. 𝗘𝟮🳅, their number 3 free kick off the underside of the bar, off the back of Bentley, and in which he was so close to getting. But yeah, it was a free kick from their number, I want to say 3 he was.
Yes, spot on.
Oh, bonus point, surely forget the number 3.
I think he was number 3. I don't actually have that right now, but I can have
VAR.
I'll get some VAR. Hang on. I'll have a look at it.
We're searching this. I want my point back. I'm miffed at the fact that was half
I
an
will
hour
give
off.
you a bonus point if you got his number as well.
He's searching up Joe Jacobson free kick.
Searching up Wycombe 2015 number. Here we go. So he scored history number. I'm on Transfer Market looking this up. His number for Wycombe Wanderers at the time of the game, he only left them in 23-24 season, so he was there for quite a while afterwards. And that was his first season there. Wow. So his number was, for a bonus point, Darcy, it was number 3. So you get the bonus point. That is very good. That is spot on. Very, very good.
Yes.
So
come on,
is that 7 out of 8 now?
Yeah, we were claiming a point back now.
You're 7 for 8, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 9, a nice and easy one, a very nice and easy one. The last one is very tricky, but we've got a nice and easy one now, so that's nice at least. Which Southend player missed in the penalty shootout?
Oh wow!
Oh, cast your mind back.
Oh dear! Oh dear! Oh no, I should know this. I really should.
I can give you a clue if you would like, but we can let you think a little bit more if you want.
Oh, I'm trying to remember the order. Leonard scored, Barrett scored, Bolger scored, Timlin scored. I'm trying to think. I've got a name in my head, but was it Coker?
It was Coker. Yeah! Well, for a second you wouldn't get that. My clue was going to be crazy hairstyle, but
oh yeah.
But yeah. So you're 8 for 9. If you get this one and you get to 9 out of 10, I will be very very impressed. Very impressed. So this is an interesting one though. It's not really to do with the game necessarily. And you'll notice that I'm focusing mainly on the playoff final. I don't really want to talk about the crew one too much. So we're mainly talking about that game out of the 2 at Wembley and the other 2 at Millennium. But so of the 24 teams who are in League 2 with us in the 14-15 season, how many were still in League 2 in the 24-25 season?
Wow.
This is the most difficult one. I thought I'd leave it to last. Also, I will give you, if you somehow name all of these clubs, assuming there's any, name all of these clubs, I will give you a bonus point because I'll give you a bonus 20 if you can name all of them. That'd be ridiculous.
Oh my days, right. That are currently, oh my God. I'm not going to be able to name any of them, but okay, just thinking logically.
24 clubs. How many do you reckon? I can give you a little bit of leeway. I can give you one either side if that helps a little bit.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my days. Okay. We're going to go for a stab here, and I think it's only right that we do go for a stab because this will take ages otherwise. I am going to go for number... I don't think it's too many, but I want to say higher. 9. No.
That is gutting. That is gutting. It's 7. So so close. But I wanted to include it, although it's so difficult for you. I wanted to include it. It's quite an interesting stat that only 7 are actually still in there. One of the clubs, and you know what? I'll give you a point if you can name this club. One of the clubs in that season is no longer a club. Do you know which club that is?
Bury.
Yes. There you go. So you can have a point back if you like. There you go. But yeah, it's quite an interesting stat. So the clubs are Newport, Morecambe, who are actually just been relegated, so they won't be there next season. Wimbledon have just got promoted, so they won't be there next season. 𝗣𝗟𝗔𝗬𝗢𝗙, Carlisle, who also got relegated, so they won't be there next season. Cheltenham and Tranmere, those are the only teams that's still in League Two, which is
nice.
Quite a mad stat, really. But I think from League One, 2 of the teams that were in our league that season are coming down. So, but I think then it will only be maybe 6, or it will definitely be lower than that 7 number, which is mad. But also in that league was York, Dagenham, Oxford, all sorts of teams, really. Some are in the Championship, some are in National League now. It just shows 10 years how much a difference that can make.
You
did very well there. I think a lot of people at home, we're quite impressed with your knowledge there. Leave below in the comments what score you got. Did you beat Diversity? I don't know. Leave below and we'll see. So yeah, such a wave of emotions in those games. But Sunday could possibly be the biggest yet. So, you know what? Just sum up. We'll go on to the game itself now. Just sum up. What does Sunday mean to you and the club?
What does it mean to me? It's honestly magical. Obviously, okay. When we went to Rochdale and we played them on that night, and you just thought, okay, if we lose here, you know, it's been a good season and all that, but we won. So then we go to Forest Green, and we're like, right, pressure's up now. We've just beaten them. We've kind of got to win this. But if we don't, you know, it's been a good season. It's been a good laugh. And we go and beat Forest Green, the most dramatic style ever. So now to get to the final hurdle, I tell you, the final jump versus a team we've nicked 4 points off this season, I think, honestly, and as I'm sure Kev and everyone would have said, it's just go for it. Honestly, leave it on that pitch. Leave everything. Because there's only so many times in your career you're going to play at Wembley. And Kev will be telling players that throughout the week, I'm sure, reminding them that this is now your opportunity to go and leave your name on that Wembley pitch. And honestly, I said prior to Forest Green, if it was us and Oldham in the final, I could not tell you who will win, because both clubs have had so much heartache over the years, so much pain, suffering, and now both clubs are back on the right path in a final. Both former league clubs on a reduced ticket capacity. Yes. We'll get to that, I'm sure, but the TF are absolute wankers, I might point out. But more to the point, I think Sunday for me is a day to enjoy, a day to go out and just remember the time, because this is what we're going to talk about in the future with generations. So yes, we got to Wembley, whatever the result was, it was the first time in a long time we went there with no debt, no stress, no pressure, just go and perform. Whatever happens, but above all, we have a year ago we wouldn't have had a club. Now we're at Wembley. Come on, let's enjoy.
Absolutely. Well, so as I said, we're going to wrap up just talking about the game itself a little bit. I didn't expect it to be this long to take it for us to get here, but we haven't spoken in a little while. So have a little catch up about all things Southend. There's so many things to talk about lately. It's just been crazy. So yeah, if we talk about the game itself, then firstly starting with the Rochdale and Forest Green game, we'll kind of skim over them a little bit because we don't want to drag this on too long. But if we skim over the Forest Green game and of course the Rochdale game, you know, just sum up what on earth that was all about, because those were probably the 2 craziest games I've ever seen.
To come back twice in both games as well, I think was absolutely mental as well. And I think it shows where the club is at. Like, I think Jack Bridge came out after the Forest Green game and said, like, if you're going to beat us, you've got to beat us properly. And both games, you just felt when, like, at Rochdale, Leon came on, you felt the wave of the game changed. And at Forest Green, Gubbins coming on, you just felt we're going to nick this here. And it's just, it comes so much down to the subs that Kev's made. And throughout the season, he's had so much scrutiny, no plan B, no tactical knowledge, no substitutes in mind. And then he goes into 2 playoff games, does an amazing set of tactics, does the right substitutes that change the game, get the goals. You know, just those 2 games, like I said, if you're going to beat us, you've got to beat us properly. And Rochdale, I think, underestimated us being 3-1 up, and getting that Tom Hopper goal back was a bit lucky, I will admit. But we got it back and it all changed. And at Forest Green, again, that was a lot more tightly congested, just absolutely on a knife edge. You could go either way. And you thought, okay, they've just gone and scored in the extra time in there. I want to say he's a left winger, comes over, celebrates in front of us, and it's just, just don't even remind me of him. But just then to go and nick it in the last dying seconds through Jack, it's like you said earlier, a hard goal to score, running at the ball, left-footed in that corner. And he's a big keeper, that Forest Green lad. I think he's only on loan, but a big lad to get it right in that corner was like, oh my days. That was nuts. So I think if you wanted me to sum that up quickly, it is like what Jack Bridge said. If you are going to beat us, and this is a message to Oldham, do it properly. Kill us. Absolutely maim us, because we will fight back.
Absolutely. Well, that player that celebrated in front of our fans, that was, if we had to vote on the weirdest moment of the season, it'd be between that and the Solihull player celebrating in front of. To be honest, those two very, very strange. That Forest Green was strange in particular, because you score a goal like that means so much. And you know, I'm not being funny. If I was a Southend fan, well, I am.
Hold on a minute, what?
Yeah, I'm Forest Green now. If as a Southend fan, I was watching, and let's say Bridge scored in the same position as him to put them up in extra time, put them ahead. If he went and celebrated in front of the Forest Green fans, not our fans, I'd be a bit cheesed off. Like, we pay money to come to these games and support the club, and he's not even paying us the attention in such a massive moment. But you know, we got the last laugh with that game, and also he has actually been released by Forest Green now. So a little bit of I don't know what happened there, but a little bit of revenge for us, which is quite nice. So with the Rochdale game, genuinely one of the best games. In my opinion, the best game that I've ever been to. I didn't go to the Forest Green game because actually, honestly, you know, all these years of watching Southend and stuff, and we decided to get into the playoffs the 1 year that I have A levels, which is just great timing, isn't it? But you know, as much as I, plead with my teachers and parents and whatnot to move the date of the exam, couldn't quite do it, obviously. So I had an exam that day of the Forest Green game, but I travelled up to Essex, watched it at the screening, and screening at Roos Hall for that game felt so good that it felt like I was there. I didn't come away feeling gutted I wasn't there. It felt like I was there. It was so good. The Roos Hall Live, if anybody went, it was just amazing, in my opinion. But yeah, just some crazy games. Did you try the chippy at Rochdale? I don't know if you've heard about that.
Oh, mate, no, I got there so late. I got there like 7 o'clock, and I just walked over to it. I just thought, I don't see much of a crowd here. I might sneak it. And the crowd going all the way down the street, around the corner of the ground. It's like, no chance. So that, if anyone's watched that video, you would have seen Ben came in for me and did a food review, and he rated it quite high. You know, make sure you go watch that video, because their scram there is top notch. I'll tell you. Yeah. This is why, if we are to stay in the National League, I'm looking forward to Rochdale just for that reason. The chippy there is top tier. God,
absolutely. I had to mention it quickly because I was speaking to a Rochdale fan from the All Day Aren't We podcast, I believe it is.
Oh yeah.
And he told me to go and try it, so we did. Me and my dad are always so early to every game. Like, we get into Roots Hall the first person every single time. just because we come from Kent, obviously, so we kind of don't want to leave it too late and push our luck. So we always get there ridiculously early. And we were the first ones into Rochdale game. I think we even went in before we meant to be honest. We just kind of walked in. We did have a compromise. That sounded a bit odd. But yeah, so, two amazing games, probably the best games that I've ever seen. And we should be really, really excited for the game. We are. But it's been ruined a little bit, I think, in the past week, it's fair to say, with the ticketing situation. We're going to mention it. Just what do you make of it, Pip? Because I think it's a complete mess, and I think poor planning. What do you think of it?
I think you said the PG version of what I want to say right now. It is, a mess, honestly. To say to two former EFL clubs who, like we said, have been through struggles, woes across all these seasons. Guys, you can only have 17,500 in a 90,000-seater stadium.
Yeah.
Is stupid. Beyond stupid. And I'm so glad that people across media, across all levels, got involved with it. And now, thankfully, it's been, I think, as of this morning, 25,000 have been sold, which is remarkable, by the way. But I think Southend put in a statement originally when this was first released, they could easily sell 30 to 35,000. And it's so doable. We're right on the doorstep of Wembley. For God. Even Oldham will bring 25 to 30. Like, this would smash a National League record attendance for a playoff. And TFL, Mayor of London, whoever was in charge of this, Wembley themselves, just made an absolute farce of it. They knew about this for months. It's come out. It's been released in, I think, a National League article, just saying this was planned months ago. Like, so who were you expecting to rock up to Wembley? Forest Green and Rochdale?
Yeah.
Well, no, you didn't. You got the two biggest teams, ideally, in the playoffs who are going to turn up and fight for it with amazing sets of fans either side. It is an absolute mess. I'm glad now that there's been another 8,000 released, but honestly, we need more. We honestly need more. And it's Thursday now. We're 3 days before the game. Will more be released? I don't know. I honestly don't know. But if they could get to 30,000 each, I think that's fair ground. That's sort of like, right, that's a good number. But if it's any less than that, disgraceful from all parties concerned.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's just been a mess and so much stress put on the club. And I think a lot of people made the point. Well, not a lot of people. I saw like a minority, a few people who aren't fans of Oldham or Southend, neutral fans, saying, making the case that, which is a ridiculous point in my opinion, that we get 7,400, whatever it is, average home. So why would we need all these tickets? You know, they're clearly not real fans. But what I'd say to that is, firstly, a lot of people just can't go to Roots Hall every week, and they'll be all over the country, all sorts of different places. You know, I know my dad did it. He moved to Kent and couldn't go for quite a few years. And then when a big game comes like this, it unites all these fans, and they all go. And you know, they say a lot of people, you know, are they real Southend fans? To me, it doesn't matter. You know, there will be proper Southend fans. There'll be blocks and blocks and blocks, 10,000 at least of real Southend fans. You know, you've got the Blue Voice. They're putting tifos. These are funded by real fans. And at the end of the day, if we get 30,000 there, you know, some people made a point, oh, I'd rather 10,000 real fans. No way. 30,000 fans is, you've got to think about the financial benefit of this for the clubs as well. You know, for a non-league club, both clubs really have struggled so much financially in recent years. And you say to them the difference between, okay, you can have 10, 15,000 there, or you can have 30,000 each. That is a huge difference. And also, when you have a big crowd, it makes the day feel so much more special. And I think you hit the nail on the head, really. I couldn't sum it up better. It's just been a farce. So much stress on the clubs when really the club should be focusing on promoting the event, getting things in line, really excited about it. And they've had to deal with stuff that is not their fault in any way. And it's just ridiculous. And there's been so many petitions that have been signed now, so many signatures. And I'll leave the links to those below. I don't know if it'll make a difference now because it's be posted tomorrow or today. But yeah, it's just crazy. And I think we've sold 25,000 now, which is better. And they're getting a few more tickets, hopefully. But yeah, if we can get up to 30,000, I'll be quite happy with that. But yeah, you summed it up perfectly. So if we just, you know, getting towards the end of the podcast, then one thing I did want to try together was the combined 11 of Oldham. We might overtake the record. Well, we are going to probably overtake the record, my longest podcast ever, which was with Ben Pepple, the last one actually. It will be 1 hour and 8 minutes. So get past that. This is the longest podcast ever. But it is a big playoff special, so I won't keep you too much longer. But we'll finish on we'll talk about the starting 11 that you play for the game, but really wrap it up then. Talk a little bit about how the game is going to go, how you see it planning out, what starting 11 maybe you would play. You know, I would personally, because there's a bit of a topic about Tom Hopper. I don't know. Where do you stand on the starting 11? What players would you like to see in? Maybe changes? Would you keep it the exact same? What do you stand on that?
I think there's one change I'd like to see, which is Cav return to the starting 11, just because I feel across these 2 games, he's been untouchable at times. Came on for the last 10 or so versus Rochdale, got the corner, then got the winner for Kendall, did his defensive duties amazingly. And at Forest Green, he came on a bit early, about 70 or so minutes. And again, was that engine room you needed in midfield just to keep it ticking over. But I'd maybe like to see Cav come in for Nor just to start it off, just to solidify it around the back of it. Because like I said, Oldham's speciality is their attack. Get Cav on one of the strikers and get Ben on the other one. Then you've settled that. You've nullified some of the attack off Oldham. In terms of the rest, maybe you make an argument to start Leon over Ollie Coker, just because maybe for me, Ollie went a bit quiet in these playoff games. That's not to say he had a bad game. It's just to say maybe there's players who are waiting on the bench who could do more. But then we said Leon's better off the bench. So it's a real headache for Kev who you start. I'd like to definitely see Cav, Leon, maybe in and around that. As for the front 2, I think, again, we're talking about engine rooms. Tom Hopper has the engine of a Ford Shelby back in the day. He just keeps going and going and going. And he doesn't score many. But when he does, they're important. They're key goals that turn games. So I start Hopper. And I think, honestly, we'll see similar to Forest Green. We'll see Kendall one side of him. And then maybe Bridge. Did Bridge start against Forest Green? I think he did. Maybe.
So. Can check if
no, it was Leon. No, it was Leon on the left. It was Leon on the left. He started. So, okay, that's really fine. A spanner in my work. Maybe we just go for the top then. Yeah, maybe we just do Hopper and Kendall to start, and depending how the game goes, we swap it in, and Hopper leads it, Kendall on one side, and someone on that side. Maybe Keenan going up that side. Maybe just to try that. But no, I'd like to see Hopper and Kendall up top to start. Midfield, I would say Cab come in. The defence and the goals speak for themselves. They've been rocks so far. So just keep it ticking on through.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this pretty much wraps up the podcast. It is now our longest one ever. And you know what? What's funny as well is before the podcast, I was actually scrambling. I'm thinking, I don't know if I have quite enough prepared for this podcast, and it's turned out to be my longest one ever. I honestly don't know how this happened. We haven't spoken for a while, so it's probably so. But yes, it's been really nice catching up with you. There's probably only one more thing to ask, which you know what that's going to be. What is your score prediction for Sunday?
This is why I ask people this question, because I hate answering it. I said before I wouldn't be able to tell you, but I think now we're so close, I'm going to give you an answer. I think Southend will win within 90 minutes, and it will be 2-1.
Wow.
I think it's a big call. I don't think we'll go to extra time. I think we've seen enough extra time and penalties to last a lifetime. I hope it doesn't. But I think in 90 minutes, we will get it. And I'd love to say maybe Kendall to get one. And I think someone who goes under the radar maybe to get a goal like Keenan or Cab to get a goal. Good lift at the back post. We saw what he did versus Forest Green, just donking in. But hey, we'll see. I think, honestly, 90 minutes, we will win this. And I am just... But if we do... that after the game will be nuts.
It's gonna be a good vlog, isn't it? Whatever happens. Well,
mate, that vlog is gonna. We might be doing an extended vlog. We'll see. I'm thinking 40 minutes. I'm thinking going big, but we'll see. We'll see what gets around.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody will like that. Well, thank you very much, Pip, for coming on. You know, I've really enjoyed it.
For putting up with me because I sound horrible.
Well, I've really enjoyed it. There's a little distraction from my dogs, but we got through it. I hope everyone enjoyed it at home. I know this is quite a long one, so I will leave timestamps and stuff. You can skip around as much as you like, but I'll leave Pip's channel down below. Go and check it out. I'm sure if you're following this, you definitely are following Pip, but I'll leave it down below anyway. And yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Is there anything you want to say before I end it, Pip?
Oh, God, then. I think it's only fitting we end this on something a bit funny. So we are the famous SUFC, and we are going to Wembley. Come on!
Yeah. Love it. Well, there you go. Lots of energy. Fingers crossed for Sunday. I'm so nervous. This is the last podcast that I'll upload before Wembley, so... Look, whatever happens now, proud of the boys. Fingers crossed. Are you getting there nice and early to Wembley? Soak it all in?
Yeah, about 11:15. I'm getting there. The old man, the uncles coming, the family are coming. It's a big one. It is a big one occasion. You've got to bring everyone. just have to.
Absolutely. Well, I'll try and catch you before the game. Try and say hello.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there you go. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. If you did enjoy, please like and subscribe. And I'll see you all on the next time. And hopefully, next time I see you all, we will be a League Two podcast. There you go. See you all later. See you on the next one.